Hi, I'm the Space Quest historian. You like the fancy, heady dress thing? I'm not sure either. My wife thought it was a clever idea just a second before I went up here, so you're gonna have to be looking at this for the rest of the episode. Anyway, hi and welcome to Space Quest 5, The Next Mutation. Not Roger Wilco in The Next Mutation, although that's what it says on the game box. It is just called The Next Mutation. Space Quest 5 was created by Dynamics in Oregon under the supervision of Mark Crow, one of the guys from Andromeda. After Space Quest 4, Scott Murphy and Mark Crow had sort of gone their separate ways in, well, not an entirely friendly, but not an entirely unfriendly way either. The actual story is that Mark Crow wanted to start a family, and Sierra were located in Oakhurst in California, which is up in the mountains somewhere near Yosemite. And it's not like a bustling metropolis or anything. In fact, there aren't really that many. Well, I apologize to people who may live there and watch this video, but it's not like if you weren't employed at like Sierra or some sort of mom and pop store, at least back then in 1993, then there weren't that many opportunities. And I think Mark Crow just wanted like a change of scenery, start a family in like a bigger city and such. And he mentioned this to Scott Murphy when they were on a plane to go to the Consumer Electronics Show to show off Space Quest 4. And it was Scott Murphy kind of took that as a knife in the back. Mark Crow didn't like say, "Hey, I've been wondering." He just basically said, "I'm moving to Oregon." And up until that point, Scott was like, "Oh, well, Mark Crow and I, best buds. We are gonna be, together in this forever." And all of a sudden, it was just like, "Hi, I'm moving." Scott has since, come around and said, okay, really, I was just not very understanding of the fact that Mark Crow wanted to spend more time with his family and, have his offspring grow up somewhere else and such. They obviously, patched up their differences and reunited to make the Space Venture game in 2012, still in development at the current time of recording, but at the time, there was a little bit of bad blood. Not like they wanted to, stab each other, but actually the story does go that Scott Murphy gave an interview like many years after the fact and pretty much said that Mark Crow wasn't a very good, not business partner, but like a creative partner. They had really nothing to do with the business side of Sierra, but it was basically one of those where he kind of threw Mark under the bus, and Mark saw this interview and said, "Look." Actually, just wrote Scott an email and said, "Look, if you want to punch me in the face, I'll gladly fly up to where you are and let you punch me in the face." And so they started talking, which they hadn't for, I don't know, like a decade or something. And basically just decided that, you know what, this was kind of silly. We enjoyed each other's company. We enjoy making games. We're older now and wiser, and we get things now. So why don't we make a game together? That was 2012. So shit, that's more than a decade. That's 20 years. This game came out in 1993. I think they split up right at the end of 1992. That is like 20 years or something. So anyway, moving back to Space Quest 5, Mark Crow ended up at Dynamics, wanted to work with Jeff Tunnell at Dynamics, who was really good at making like these really gorgeous games, like graphically gorgeous. Dynamics really had their shit together as far as making gorgeous graphics and also really good gameplay. And at the time, they had just recently been acquired by Sierra, mainly because they were doing these flight simulator games, Red Baron and Secret Weapons. No, wait, that's a LucasArts game. I don't know much about flight simulators. Anyway, they basically been acquired for their flight simulator games, but Dynamics were also making adventure games. They were making games like Heart of China and Rise of the Dragon and a lot of Chinese stuff going on in those games. Anyway, they were gorgeous, but they were made using Dynamics' own adventure game engine. So after they'd been acquired, Sierra released these games that Dynamics had made, but said that if you guys want to keep making adventure games, you have to make them using Sierra's Creative Interpreter, the SCI engine, the one that, all Sierra adventure games were made in. And Space Quest 5 was kind of a litmus test to see if Dynamics could make a game in SCI. Around this time, back in Oakhurst in California, Josh Mandel was actually pitching several different ideas for Space Quest V. He wanted to make the next Space Quest game and had been more or less promised that he would make the next Space Quest game. And then suddenly, kind of out of the blue, Mark Crow, I think he was either asked or more or less told to, if you want to make an adventure game of dynamics, it has to be a Space Quest game. So it was kind of those, yes, I agree, kind of things. And he had to make that an SCI. So all of a sudden, you've got Mark Crow helming up a new Space Quest game at Dynamics in Oregon, and you've got Josh Mandel just sort of sitting there in Oakhurst going, wait a minute, I thought I was gonna, okay. And the story will continue when we get to Space Quest 6. Josh Mandel eventually did get to make his own Space Quest game and had a whale of a time doing that. We'll get to that story later on. But for now, this is Space Quest 5, one of the games that, if you ask like casual adventure game fans of the 90s, they will say that Space Quest 5 is one of their favorite Space Quest games because now Roger has supporting characters. Now he is in command of his own starship and such. And I don't know, I don't want to seem snobbish or anything, but for me, Space Quest 5 kind of threw out the magic of Space Quests 1 and 4. It's not a bad game, mind you. It is an absolutely fantastic, funny, gorgeous looking space comedy game. But I hesitate to call it a true Space Quest game. Not just because it only has like one of the two guys from Andromeda. There's a Lennon and McCartney thing going on here. You can't have one without the other. The end product kind of gets watered down somewhat. It's just the thing. But there are other things such as Roger's perennial solitude, which is now broken up completely because now he has people to talk to every step of the way, and all this sort of jazz. But I don't want you to go into this and thinking that I hate Space Quest V. I absolutely love it. Absolutely. It just, yeah. Well, I think we'll get into it. I think first of all we should check in with my pal Danny.
Hello, it is your messy-haired friend from the internet, Danny Sexbang. Happy to introduce the Space Quest historian's playthrough of Space Quest V. I think of all of them, Space Quest V is my favorite, which is, I don't know if that's a common choice. And unfortunately, for various reasons, the two guys from Andromeda who created the game, in the first place, Scott and Mark, went their separate ways. So this was the first game that they both hadn't worked on. This one was done by Mark Crow. And I love this game. Like, this is one of my favorite games of all time. I think primarily because the humor was so silly and fun in this one. The previous one is, I mean, a triumph for sure, like I said, but it was a little bit darker, a little bit more heavy in certain spots, but this one's just like purely like I just smile when I think about it. And I really loved the fact that they give you a crew in this game. Drool and Flo, and you get to meet Beatrice, who is your big love, mostly through the Space Quest series. I thought that was the one thing that may have been missing from Space Quest games up until this point. The fact that Roger Wilco never had friends, really. So the fact that he had buddies and he was cruising through the galaxy with them made things more fun for me personally. And I loved watching their relationships develop as they went on their ridiculous adventures. And I don't know why. I mean, Space Quests always, you're always looking at space. Through the windows, you see the stars and the planets and the ships and everything. But for some reason, this one was the one that really made me feel the spaciest, if that makes any sense. Like, you go to the biodome at a certain point, and like, I don't know. There's some special quality about this one that I can't put my finger on, but I just adore it. And So I'm very happy to get to watch this one, especially. I've probably said that before, but I get a kick out of all these games. But yeah, so please enjoy Space Quest 5. My personal favorite. Don't tell anyone who likes the other ones more. I'm not looking for a fight. See you later.
Ah, yes. Thank you, Danny. Now, on to the main event. Let's play Space Quest 5, The Next Mutation. Okay, here we go. Loading. And the fancy color cycling Sierra logo appears before us in all its majesty with... I'm going to turn my audio up a bit here. With the fancy MT32 Sierra logo. Now, we want to get in and play a new game, but of course we first have to see the introduction. Because it really sets the stage in a monumental way. First we get this very nice title screen. There you go. Then, now it starts animating. Bit of 3D effect there, and here comes Roger in his StarCon uniform, doing a little Picard maneuver thing there, just jiggling his junk for a while. And, well, the title just melted, but, you know, that's what you get. And here are the opening credits. You'll notice, well, Ken Williams, of course, that's a given. He was president of the company. Designer, Mark Crow. And he did a fantastic job, I'm not gonna lie. It's the story is good, the set pieces are good, the puzzles are really good, the art direction is fantastic, whoever Sean Sharp is. And David Sell, assistant director, was actually, and we have producer and director Mark Crow, but the assistant director, David Sell, was actually also the person who wrote the entire game. That is not something I'm making up. That's actually in the official hint book for Space Quest 5. That Mark Crow designed it, he produced it, he directed it, but he didn't write it. This dude named David Sell did. So anyway, Captain's Log, SCS Excalibur, stardate 2709.67. I have no idea what that means, but anyway, I think it's last Tuesday. Fleet Admiral Roger Wilco commanding. Already here we're getting some... Wait, how much time passed between SQ4 and 5? Anyway, the Excalibur is on course to investigate the mysterious disappearance of several ships in the uncharted region of space known as the Menudo Triangle. I no doubt have been selected for this mission due to my great achievements as a military leader and matchless diplomatic skills. Sure, Raj, sure. I go forward with total confidence in my ship and my crew, yet I am vaguely uneasy. I cannot put memories of traveling to the future and meeting my son out of my mind. Each night my dreams are haunted by the image of the woman he said would one day be my wife. I know she's out there. Somewhere. Incidentally, I have to read this aloud because Space Quest 5 did not have a CD-ROM version. I'll tell you why in a minute. But that's not important right now. Neither of what I just said was important right now. Anyway, the fate of trillions rides on the decisions I may have to make in the next several hours. As captain of the Star Confederacy's proudest flagship, I must follow the supreme guideline. Cue bad joke. To boldly go where no man has... No. To bravely traverse where no creature has traversed? Nah, that's not it. Nah, skip it. Now at this point, playing this game for the first time, I was pumped to all shit. I mean, Admiral, strike ships coming into point 35. Dear God, things are happening. Thrust into the deep end. Alert! Shields up, battle station, lock weapons. Neutron beams locked, proton torpedoes armed. Tossing out things that won't get us sued by some sort of fox in the 20th century. And of course, it was all just a simulation. Cadet Wilco, what in the name of the 7th star cluster are you doing in the bridge simulator? Get your sorry carcass out of there and get back to class where you belong, space cadet. And if I catch you in there again without permission, I'll have you tossed out of the academy so fast you'll get warp disorientation. Simulation terminated. And so, very tragically, of course, we find out that we were not actually in command of shit. We were just dicking around in a simulator. Without permission, even. A rat-infested simulation. His illusions of spacefaring grandeur cruelly shattered by Captain Quark, Roger Wilco exits from the bridge simulator into the hallways of the Star Confederacy Space Academy, where he has enrolled himself in an attempt to realize his lifelong dream of becoming a starship captain. The last several months have not been easy for our hero, what with having to juggle between skipping classes, snoozing through lectures, and spending long moments considering the implications of actually opening a textbook. But our fearless former sanitation engineer has stumbled resolutely past these obstacles, pursuing his goal with unwavering determination, blissfully unaware that fate was about to hurl another spitball in his direction. And we got a bit of clown music as we walk off. Dejected. Did I say the word dejected already? But as you can see from that rousing intro, we are in for an audiovisual treat. Okay, let's just be honest here. Only Space Quest 4, in my opinion, comes close to matching this, and Space Quest 4 was a product of 1991. At this point, SCI could handle... this is an updated version of SCI, so you can see he actually gets bigger and smaller as he moves towards the camera. However, they didn't draw him in as big detail as they probably should have, but, it's got zooming sprites. Actually, I should go back to this screen because there are a ton of fun things to do here, like, for instance, look around these ships. And just briefly, the game was supposed to have a CD-ROM version with Talkie, with Gary Owens back as the narrator, but when the game came out, Dynamics was actually in kind of a rough shape financially, so they decided instead of going back and polishing up Space Quest 5, they would move on to new and original projects, and sort of wait around for, the money to come in so they could do fancy shit with Space Quest 5. Sadly, those days never came, so Space Quest 5 is sort of this odd child between Space Quest 4 and Space Quest 6, both of which have full CD-ROM talkie, but Space Quest 5, no CD-ROM talkie. So, you're gonna have to listen to me, and I'm sorry, I do kind of have the sniffles, actually. I'm kind of under the weather a little bit, which would explain why I didn't bother taking this thing out. So, you're stuck with my nasally weird voice reading this shit aloud. But, hopefully the material of the writing, again, this was written by David Sell at Dynamics, and he, for the most part, I think really gets the tone of Space Quest. An Alpha-class strike fighter from the colony worlds. This baby has it all: speed, maneuverability, and enough firepower to blast apart a comet. Too bad you'll probably never even get within shouting distance of one of these in your natural lifetime. And this one, I think this is one of my favorite, no, wait, the StarCon registry lists this ship as the personal launch of Ambassador Beatrice Wankmeister from the G6 Quadrant. You dimly recall hearing her name once before, but the effort to remember anything further results in nothing more than a storm of misfired brain synapses and a dull headache. Yeah, that wasn't the one. There's one of these ships that is like a training vessel of some kind. Named for his beloved wife, this sleek corvette called Lady Plusbucker is reserved for the Academy Commandant's use exclusively. Recently, several freshmen were disciplined for scandalously altering the ship's name as a cadet initiation prank. Really? That wasn't the one either. What the hell is this thing? This three-man fighter was captured from the dreaded pirates of Pestilon during their daring attempts to escape the confines of Space Quest 3. Yeah, there it is. This little UFO thing right here. That one's my favorite. Trainers, like this one, are used to instruct cadets in basic spaceflight techniques. Due to the relative lack of skill by cadets, these ships suffer from a high rate of attrition. The current record for number of ships wrecked stands at 3, and is currently held by Roger, which includes a notable incident where he totaled a ship without even leaving the hangar. Odds are 2-1 among his classmates that Rog will break his own record before graduating. I like that. To me, that really, gets the tone of Space Quest. It's like, Roger is not really very good at what he does, and no one seems to really, care about his well-being at all. So, I quite like that. Alright, there are a lot more ships we could have a look at. We could dick around a lot more, but I think we should just get on with the story. For instance, classmates. Fellow members of the tightly knit StarCon Cadet Brigade. Now, you'll notice we actually have two different talk icons. We have just chat up or talk to, and we have command. And of course, this does give away what the game box already promised us, which is that Roger will inevitably end up commanding his own ship. So the command icon is right here for when you want to order someone to do something. And this one is just to casually chat with people. So let's initiate a casual chat. Wow, he's huge. Drop dead, welcome. And he just goes into the fuck stance. Well, they did say to get to class, so let's get to class. Alright, I'll just sneak in so these little dumbasses don't bother me. I mean, I am, of course, way superior in every way. So, hopefully, yep, they didn't notice me. Sorry I'm late, Professor. By the way, if I love the professor's voice. It's just this oboe talking, which I think... You mean the StarCon aptitude test is today? There's a reference to Charlie Brown, where the teacher's voice was just a musical instrument. Yes, sir, I'll get started right away. Also, there's a bit of reverb on her. What's that? Come talk to you after class? Oh, yes, sir. And we get, the first puzzle in the game is we get to take a test. Not just a test, a multiple choice test. And it is a pretty funny one. All of these options are pretty funny. What you're supposed to do is, of course, you don't know the answers, you haven't studied for the test, so you have to look outside and look at your classmates' answers without this little droidy thing noticing you. A Proctormatic 9000 anti-cheat droid floats malevolently about the classroom, maintaining a vigilant lookout for any student hijinks during the SAT test. Currently, the droid is monitoring you with its visual scanners. Best keep your eyes on your own test. And look at them look around. Also, Lieutenant Worf is apparently taking... Woof is the senior class Ambujitsu champion at the Academy. Now, you can cheat off this dude, who isn't very clever. Cadet Schleppo appears to be dull and stodgy, much like yourself. And there's this dude with a large cranium. I got the brain pan on this guy. He's probably smarter than your whole family. And I just checked off his... You see? That's how you're supposed to do it. Now, having gotten that point, a little thing that is perhaps not as well known as I would, as I imagined at first, but every time I tell people this, they kind of go, what? Really? Because there are 10 questions on this test, and you have to, cheat off of him 10 times, but you only get points for the first one. What you can do is just simply select the last answer on every single question here, and you pass. The test's over already? Yes, sir. I agree that cleaning the Academy Crest is an appropriate punishment for being late to class. I'll get right on it. Also, thank you for issuing me this punishment in the, presence of all my peers, but screw that. Anyway, we passed the test. I'm sorry. Sorry I didn't read any of those test questions out loud. They are, in fact, tremendously funny, but, you do have to have some sentiment. Incentive is the word I was looking for, to go play the game yourself. Alright, let's head back here and get some cleaning duds. Now, I think we should be looking at an Easter egg. Yeah, there we go. You might recognize these from a certain 1977 science fiction movie of some ill repute. And there's another similar one coming up later when we go to the place we need to clean, but first of all, let's get in the supply closet. God, we've missed supply closets. No! They haven't missed us. Alright, we're gonna need the safety cones. You crammed the safety cones into your seemingly bottomless pocket. And we're gonna need this thing. You crammed the Scrub-O-Matic into your seemingly bottomless pocket. And the rest is just junk, so bucket, off you go. Alright, I'll bet you're wondering where Obi-Wan and Darthy Boy went, and they went in here, which is the access room to the Rotunda. The technician here is just playing Missile Command. The security guard prevents unauthorized access to the maximum security area beyond his post. So I guess if I try to walk down here, you are not allowed beyond this point. Oh, and it even flashes at me, angrily. It says security clearance alpha beyond this point. Okay, cool, cool. Second little walk-on Easter egg is right down here. When we get that far, there you go. Hello, Mr. Elvis. Loved your work. Well, the bits I've heard anyway. This dude also does not want me to pass, but he is playing a different game, so cool. Anyway, this is the thing we're looking for. On the floor of the main rotunda below, you can just make out the soiled form of the StarCon Crest. You feel a janitorial itch that yearns to be scratched. Well, fuck, let's go scratch it. That was an interesting sound effect. Also, I really, really love the music in this game, and there is a funny little story about the music as well. Originally, Ken Allen, who did the music for Space Quest 4, was actually, contracted to write the music for Space Quest 5. Now, at this point, Ken Allen didn't actually work for Sierra. He was just, contracted to work on different projects. So it didn't matter that he wasn't in Dynamics' headquarters or whatnot. But I think the story goes that he actually wrote an entire soundtrack for Space Quest 5, which was then, for some reason or another, canned. It was decided that they were not going to use it. So two musicians who were in-house at Dynamics had to write the soundtrack we're listening to right now, had to write it in a massive hurry. I think they had 3 or 4 weeks to do the entire soundtrack or something. They wrote it in a massive hurry. So I am really doubly impressed when I listen to the soundtrack, because I think it is one of the best soundtracks of the entire series. And I really wish that I had heard Ken Allen's original soundtrack. He says the files are sadly lost. He did recreate the theme song that he composed from memory, which was supposed to be on a music album that he crowdfunded sometime in 2012 or 13 or something, but since he's working as the sound designer for Space Venture, he wants to finish Space Venture before getting into that. So long story short, there is an entire Space Quest 5 soundtrack that none of us have ever heard, that only Ken Allen and whoever decided not to use the music, Ken Williams probably. So, yeah, there you go. But anyway, I mentioned this because the music that's about to occur, once we get into the Crest cleaning arcade sequence, yes, the first puzzle in the game is a multiple choice quest, the next puzzle is a fucking arcade sequence. The music is actually pretty kick-ass. So what we're gonna do is... Now, if we don't put down the utility cones or whatever they're called, people are just gonna walk, across the rotunda and mess up our cleaning job, and that's really asshole-ish behavior of them. So let's do this right. How does this thing work? Yo! Now basically, all you have to do is sort of roll over the entire crest and clean it, and you're on a timer. You can bounce into those little coney things. It's really not that difficult. This is a concentration face right there. I think we just need the center bit, and we should be good. There you go. Ah, sparkly clean. Now, who approacheth? As you can see, Ambassador Wankmeister, we run a very tight ship here at the Academy. This institution is the pride of the Star Confederation and one of the best of its kind in the known universe. Well, it's certainly nice to see our tax buckezoids aren't going completely to waste, Captain Quark. Oh, look at the scowl on her face. Also, she is holding her arms behind her back. She's not missing her arms. Here we are, Mrs. Wankmeister. Miss, this is the main rotunda, blah blah blah. Ambassador? Excuse me, aren't you Roger Wilco, the man who foiled the Sarians some years back? Oh, thank God someone at least, remembered. And cue the inappropriate 1990s porno music. Suddenly, it all comes rushing back. It's her, the woman from the holodisc in Space Quest 4. Now's your big chance, Roger. Say something clever and romantic. Yes? Way to sweep her back on her feet, Raj. It's good to see you haven't lost your golden touch with women. I messed up that line, but nobody cares. Anyway, that's our future wife, Beatrice Wankmeister, before she turned into a flowy hologram thing. Excuse me, Ambassador, we should be heading to the conference now. Oh, not at all what I expected, Wilco. See you around. And I never really got if that was meant sarcastically or not. But anyway, hold on a minute, cadet. Could he look any more assholey? Looks like you missed the spot. Yeah. Sir, you better watch your step. The floor's still really wet and just a little bit slippery. Haha, nice rock, Quirk. Is that a toupee or a roadkill? Oh, you did that on purpose, Wilco. I'm placing you on double secret probation. One more screw-up and your space cadet days are over. I think that's a reference to that John Belushi movie, Animal House. Where someone gets put on double secret probation and no one has any fucking idea what that even is. But anyway, there was your formal introduction to Captain Quirk, who's obviously based on a certain starship captain from a different Star Confederacy or Star Fleet, perhaps, and also making fun of a certain Mr. Shatner, we might as well come clean and say it, and his propensity for wearing toupees. Well, it's a rumor more than anything, but there you go. And also, we've met our future wife-to-be. So already we're off to a tremendous start. Have a look. Far below, you can just make out the StarCon Academy crest on the floor of the main rotunda. Oh, damn, I thought it was going to give me like a pat on the back and go, nice job cleaning it, dude. Okay, what are we actually in orbit around? It appears to be one of the 9 moons of Nova. I think there was a dynamics game called Nova 9 or something. I don't know, but anyway. This game is wall-to-wall puns and references, really, much more than any other game. Did anyone see that, by the way? In the Great Master 2000, which is currently electronically grading us. Now, Flash Gordon had a fail, Albert Einstein had a fail, so this must have been a really tough test, but Wilco R... Now, the game is running a little fast, but... Huh? What was that? Excuse me, Captain, you didn't raise your hand, pedantic little shit. Now, as I was saying, Ambassador Wankmeister, we are a fairly remote installation, and I simply can't spare the ships to launch the kind of operation you suggest. I'm molding something with my hands. I'm afraid you don't understand the potential ramifications of this problem, Admiral. If the sludge bandits continue to illegally dump toxic waste whenever and wherever they choose, the environmental consequences could be staggering. Yes, this is 90s, environment is really important kind of stuff. It was all over the 90s. And made a tremendous comeback in recent years. Entire planets could be devastated. I think you overstate the issue, Ambassador. Even so, we have more than enough ships on patrol to put a stop to these sludge bandits, as you call them. I scorn you because you're a woman. Roger, however, is very interested. Look, Ambassador, we have top-notch ships staffed with the finest crew in the galaxy. StarCon accepts only the best and brightest for fleet training. And here we go. You look, Rughead. Illegal dumping is going on in this sector right under your polyweave. Our patrols have located dumping sites on 4 planets in the G6 quadrant alone. This is made from real hair. And I like how she just squashes that right away. Just fuck off with your bullshit, Quirk. In any case, I'd like to hear more about these alleged dumping sites, perhaps over dinner this evening. We're right back in sexist country. I have already transmitted the coordinates to StarCon Central Command along with a list of suspected sites that we haven't been able to check out there. Verbal sideswipe. Well then, that settles it. Captain Quirk, you shall go to these sites and investigate Ambassador Wankmeister's allegations. Admiral, I'll be going along as an observer. I'm afraid that's impossible. Regulations strictly forbid civilian participation in military operations, and this is about the time when Wankmeister clearly blows a gasket. Admiral, I think having the ambassador along would be a good idea. I'm sure the two of us could develop a productive working relationship. I almost went full Tim Curry as Gabriel Knight there. Admiral, may I remind you that I am an official representative of the people of Quadrant G6 with full ambassadorial status and as such not subject to... Now, Ambassador. No, I'm sure Captain Quirk will do everything necessary to resolve the situation. There's no need for you to hinder him on this mission. This is my system and my people we're talking about here. I'm going on that ship, and that is all there is to it. Case closed. We're adjourned. Good day, gentlemen. And off she fucks in a huff. Oh, great. The savior of the universe in all his glory. Isn't there a mop somewhere with your name on it? Man, this dude, yeah, he just fucking fell asleep in the middle of everything. Way to go, Raj. Another sterling performance. Yeah, I caught the jerk trying to sneak some answers off my test. Shh, here he comes. This is awful. I totally biffed on my SAT test. I'll never make captain now. Oh, that's too bad, Cadet Schblock. How'd you make out, Roger? I haven't seen my score yet. Oh, the SAT scores for our class are posted on the bulletin board, Raj. I sure hope you made out better than I did. Did we? Do you think we did? Always wondered what this panel does, but I've never been able to figure out its function. The explanation was probably given in one of the many class lectures slept away during your tenure here at the Academy. So that's not the thing. The thing is down here. Yes, here we go. Getting our score and... Cadet Wilco, on behalf of the administration, I would like to congratulate you on receiving a perfect score on your SAT. Not in the entire history of StarCon Academy has a cadet achieved such high marks. You should be proud, and we should be a bit worried, actually. On the recommendation of our test analysis computer system, you are to begin training for captaincy aboard one of our fine star cruisers. Captain Quirk will post your assignment. You've done the Academy proud. Sincerely, current Chief Commanding Officer's name here. It's just a form letter, really, but your test results. Maybe you ought to have it framed. Definitely. Ouch. Click away. Oh, here we go. Dreamy, dreamy time. And smug smile time. So here we go. Captain Duds, and we are now officially captain of our own starship, and all within the first episode. Wow. And so, having undergone an intensive weekend's captain's training seminar on the planet Oakhurst, Roger is shuttled to his new command, the SCS Eureka. Now we think we're gonna get this very sleek little ship, but no, we're going in this one. Hey, that's not a starship. It's a garbage cow. Figures. Hello, sir. I'm Subcorporal Drool, your nav and weapons officer on this heap. Flo's the name. I'm your comm specialist, grade 4. Hello, crew. I'm your new commanding officer, Captain Roger Wilco. I know some of you may not be as excited to be serving on the Eureka as I am, but I promise you this, we are going to be the best gosh darn garbage cow in the entire Star Confederation. We have nothing to fear but fear itself, so hold your heads high, men. We shall overcome. All we are is dust in the wind, born free, running wild, with liberty and justice for all. So let's be all we can be. Remember, it's not just a job, it's an adventure. Go! Yeah, that sound effect is gonna get on your nerves in a hurry. Oh, it was the chair, really. Looks like we got a live one here, Flo. Yeah, you said it, Droll. And with that tremendous display of, captaincy, of really awe-inspiring authority, I think we're going to leave the episode here. We are now officially in command of our own starship, with the two rotoscoped crew people we have here, and a third one, which we'll meet in the next episode, where we will actually go into space. Won't that be awesome? It's kind of in the title here, Space Quest. So, anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, do whatever you kids do. Do leave me a comment, because, as you know, I fucking love the comments. So, thanks. And, I'll see you around the Chrono Stream.